Coming to you from our studios in Belize City, this is Love Television with your evening news for today, Thursday, May 26th. We get started with the leading stories for today. IMF reports paint grim picture of Belize's economy and fiscal vulnerabilities. Caribbean Development Bank approves loan for work on Crooked Tree Causeway. Belize's Ombudsman takes helm of regional organization. Media taking on tour of Blackadore Caye. Costa Rican companies look to do business in Belize. Following a 2-week working visit in Belize, the findings documented by the staff of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, are alarming when it comes to the economy and the country's vulnerabilities. While the document is not a final report from the IMF's executive board, it is a preliminary report put together by the team that was in Belize conducting the assessments. The report cited several causes for concerns, starting with the slowing of the economy and the increase of the country's fiscal and external vulnerabilities. There was the mention of the fall in oil production and the multiple shocks in the reduced 2015 GDP in the primary sector. When it comes to the 2015 deflation, the IMF has contributed that to the decline in the prices of energy and other commodities, but did note that the increase in the fuel tax did restore positive inflation, putting it at a 0.1% for the month of March. When it comes to the current account deficit that was reportedly widened to 9.8% of the gross domestic product, the GDP, since exports fell by 9%, primarily in the oil and marine products. However, because of the investment projects, the rate of imports remains on the rise. With the move for nationalization of the utility companies and subsequent part payments, the country's international reserves fell to 4.6 months of imports in as recent as March 2016. The fiscal deficit has widened to about 8% of GDP, and that was due to a one-off payment of a settlement of a loan to one of the nationalized companies, as well as due to an increase in public sector wages and transfers and a large overrun in capital expenditure. The report spoke of public debt as well, saying its stock has climbed to 82% of GDP. There is some fairly decent news among all of this. According to the IMF, the banking system, despite the recent challenges of correspondent banking, has continued to strengthen. The economic outlook, according to that report, has worsened further since the 2015 article for consultation and is subject to significant downside risks. Growth is projected to decline further to 0.5% in 2016 and average less than 2% in the medium term. In the absence of fiscal measures, rigid current spending would fuel high fiscal deficits and add to the already high public debt burden. The current account deficit would slowly improve due to recovery of exports, but would still remain high, putting downward pressure on the international reserves. These vulnerabilities would be exacerbated by both domestic and external risks, such as the end of Petrocaribe financing, protracted period of weak growth in trading partners, and challenges posed by withdrawal of correspondent banking relationships. End of quote. These points of concern pointed out in the IMF preliminary report were complemented by several recommendations geared at keeping the economy on a stable footing. In that section of the document, it is noted that placing the public debt path firmly on the downward path is the foremost priority, and that would require raising the primary fiscal surplus to 4 to 5% of the GDP by the year 2021. That is being recommended to be achieved via a combination of strong revenue and expenditure measures, including a broadening the tax base and implementing other tax reforms containing the public sector wage bill, initiating a parametric reform of the public pension system, and strengthening controls in multiple areas of public financial management systems. Additional recommendations include the further strengthening the anti-money laundering, combating financing of terrorism, AML, CFT framework, may assist in preventing further loss of correspondent relationships with global banks. The IMF staff has declared that the structural reforms are needed to improve potential growth and improve competitiveness, which are needed to reduce the external vulnerabilities. The IMF team was in Belize from May 11th through to the 25th and had met with the Prime Minister Dean Barrow, the Financial Secretary Joseph Waite, and Central Bank Governor Glenford Isagiri, as well as members of the private sector and the main opposition. The gross domestic product GDP since exports fell by 9%, primarily in the oil and marine products. However, because of the investment projects, the rate of import remains on the rise. Crooked Tree Village is the home to about 1,000 people and is in an area that seems to only get attention during election time or when the rains come and the causeways get flooded. There is, however, some good news this evening as funding of just under $1 billion has been approved for a feasibility study on the causeway to take place, as well as designs for its upgrade. While there is no announcement of immediate works on the causeway of the Crooked Tree Road, it is a start in the direction of the improvement of the quality of life for those who reside there. The monies are coming in the forms of a grant and a loan, with $250,000 being the loan portion from the Caribbean Development Bank, and $150,000 coming in the form of a grant from the European Investment Bank under the Grant Facility for Climate Action Support to CDB. According to the chief in the Economic Infrastructure Division at CDB, Andrew Dupigny, with the changes that we are seeing as a result of climate change, there is a very real possibility that there will be an increased risk of more frequent flooding at Crooked Tree, as well as inundation of the road and causeway. This represents a significant health, welfare, and livelihood risk to residents. This project aims to establish technically viable solutions to establish all-weather access to the Crooked Tree, as well as improve community resilience." End of quote. As part of the project, a vulnerability assessment of the Crooked Tree community will also be undertaken, and mitigation measures identified to improve resilience to climate change. It will be implemented by Belize's Ministry of Works, Transport, and the National Emergency Management Organization. Earlier this week, a delegation led by Foreign Minister Wilfred Elrington met with his Guatemalan counterparts in Istanbul, Turkey. Earlier this week, Cabinet announced that the statutory instrument limiting movement on the Sarstoon River would be revoked since the talks proved successful. Yesterday, Prime Minister Barrow was asked about that meeting.
There's an agreement now that we will negotiate a formal protocol for the Sarstoon. And in the meantime, clearly Belizeans can feel free to go to the Sarstoon. That is why we have revoked the statutory instrument that was in place.
Is there any timeline for that?
For how soon the formal protocol? No, as quickly as can possibly be done, but there's no fixed timeline.
Senator Eamon Courtney was a part of the meetings as the representative for the opposition, the People's United Party. Courtney said it is important to see how things play out on the ground following the conclusion of those meetings.
It's important for us to see what happens. Saying something in a diplomatic meeting is one thing. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. So we need to see what happens beginning now, when we exercise our right to use the Sarstoon, when our citizens and when the military exercise their right. We expect, based on the understanding at the meeting, that they will be entitled to do so, as we have always done. Now, as you say, the important thing is whether or not the Guatemalan forces in the Sarstoon is going to respect that. We are hopeful that they will. We insisted that the information be communicated not only to the top of their military, but to the soldiers and the naval forces in the area. So there should be no defense that, well, the message didn't reach the people in the field and that type of thing. We expect full compliance and respect for our territorial rights.
As has been reported, the PUP is challenging the new law that limited movement on the Sarstoon. Senator Courtney was asked if the suit would be withdrawn, given the fact that the law has been repealed.
It's not moot and it is not pointless, because we expect the challenge to continue. You see, what you have there is, in our view, an unlawful exercise of state power. As I said before, it is bad policy and it is bad in law. The Public Safety Act has a specific criteria for the Governor General to exercise that power to restrain people from moving in the Sarstoon or anywhere else. We believe that the facts were not there for him to do it, and therefore he acted unlawfully. And we have to set a precedent. The court has to speak to the circumstances in which that kind of power can be exercised in the future. So it's a very important case. It violated our constitutional rights and the constitutional rights of many Belizeans who attempted to go there, and we ask the court to still pronounce on it for the future.
As it relates to the ongoing talks with Guatemala, Senator Courtney said Ambassadors Alexis Rosado and Ambassador Manuel Roldan will meet shortly to set the timetable for how the discussions will proceed. Ombudsman Lionel Arzu has been installed as the president of the Council of Human Rights Defenders. He assumes presidency for the year 2016-2017. The baton was handed over by the former president of the Ombudsman of Honduras, Dr. Roberto Herrera, in a ceremony that took place in Belize for the first time. Arzu spoke to Love News about the honor of assuming the presidency and the issues at hand in his mandate.
Well, I must say I'm excited, but also I'm humbled by such an event. Like I said in my speech earlier, today is a great day because this is the first time in the history of the office that this presidency is being handed over here in Belize. As a region, we'll have to work closer, and we have to look at things that are common to us as regional body. We cannot look at individual only. We have to look at all the issues that are common to all of us here in the region and try to promote and get them resolved or find some support for these issues. We are looking at the human rights of people in the region that are indigent, people who are the low end of society. And so it is our hope that we come as one body to make sure that these people's human rights are observed and not abused.
Arzu also spoke about how the council will deal with the Belize-Guatemala tension as a regional matter.
I believe that the political directorate are dealing with that in the best way possible at this moment. For this regional body, our hope would be to just liaise with the Ombudsman of Guatemala and his delegation to see how best we can, as a body, look at the issues that surrounds the bigger picture, the claim, and then see how best we can support or give some directives or advice.
But as a Belizean, does a territorial claim affect the neutral position of the president of the council?
Sure to say whether I'll be impaired or not. I'll want to give myself some time to go settle down in a position, but at the same time making sure that our issues are put in the forefront and try to work very hard to get them resolved.
The new president of the Council of Human Rights Defenders, the Ombudsman of Belize, Lionel Arzu, spoke with Love News about the current issues affecting the region, especially the issue of displaced migration.
As the guy who, the president, outgoing president, have some issues that were started by him as the president, and it's concentrated around migrants' rights and the movement of migrants to different part of the region and for their rights to be looked at. Now, migration will not go away anytime soon, so more than likely that will still be around, but our hope is that to make sure that the government and the agencies involved do their part, and once they do their part, with them we work together and then in the end have some level of success or total success. We have issues with prison, that's one. We have issues with police brutality is another one. Forced displacement of people due to violence and gang, whether it's gang or just war per se. Even though we don't have a war as soldier to soldier, but we have gang warfare. And so that creates a problem for people. But at the end of the day, what is important is that together as a region, we need to look at the issues and hard. We need to look at them real hard, because then for us as Belizeans, the migration issue will not be much as in other part of the country, but it's still an issue. And so we need to make sure that we look at everybody's issue and see how best we can move forward resolving these issues.
Arzu stated that the first issue he will be looking at will be the unabated migration into the United States from Latin American countries. A multi-million-dollar eco-friendly hotel to be built on Blackadore Caye has begun its second process of consultations. A number of amendments were made to the environment impact assessment based on consultations with those who will be affected by the development of the project. For the eco-friendly hotel to become successful, they need a healthy island for their environmental practices. According to biologist Juan Rovalo, who is assessing the area, the island isn't living and needs lots of restoration. This is what the developers of the eco-friendly hotel plan to do over the next couple of years: restore the entire island. Dione Chamberlain, public relations officer for the Blackadore Group, briefed the media on their future goals.
Island restoration is our focus and our goal, but it is an environmental concept brought to life that can be delivered worldwide. It is a revenue and economy stream for the country, for everybody, from north to south of this country, not only for a few and select. It will create jobs, meaningful jobs, jobs that nobody in the rest of the world is trained on, equipment that people are not trained on. The biological data that we have collected and amassed over the past 2 years of study will be shared with all of the people in our conservation environment. It will be shared with the Hull Chan Marine Reserve, and even the equipment will be donated to them at the end of our studies so that they can use it to make sure that we start doing things right. And our scientists and biologists will be available so that we continue this for the rest of our lives within our country. Exposure for our people. A new quality of tourists, philanthropists, a growth in tourism by a thoughtful leadership segment, people who actually care, investors who actually listen. It's going to be a new day in Belize.
The island then got its name from the rich and black healthy soil, which is scarcely present due to erosion. Mangroves, which were once present about 100 years ago, are now gone. Rovalo, who is from Mexico, explained the state of the island.
Instead of having a diverse, thriving key, we are having an ecologically hammered and sick key. We have the remains of the ecosystem that should be here all over the key. Since the water is coming out and the coastal berm has been eroded, then more and more salt water comes in and hypersaline this place. We know we have been studying the bird population, the mammal population, including bats. So for example, we have 3 species of bats here. And that's another sign that the ecology is not thriving, because in the tropical areas, the bats are a key indicator of the health of the ecosystem. So just having the 3 main species of bats, it tells you that it's not a healthy ecology anymore.
As we said, the Blackadore Group has changed their EIA due to the consultations. One of them was the overwater rooms, which they claimed will no longer be. Chamberlain explained more of the amendments.
The project summary, from when you were at the last consultation, it has changed considerably. We have taken out that outrigger completely that people were against in the original consultation. So the Welcome Center has now been removed to that other area that I mentioned, and the entire outrigger has been dismantled. The hotel size has shrunk considerably because all of it is going to be on the land. So it's going to be a small hotel, a village center, private estates, clubhouse, a wellness center. The ecology center is there because we believe the need to preserve the history and the ecology. We want to preserve everything that we found on the island so that visitors, students, Belizeans on a whole can see what this island was like 100 years ago. We'll have an employee housing area, and we're looking at jobs countrywide at the end of the day. For the amount of jobs that we will be creating and the training we'll be providing, we're looking at a large grouping. But we're looking at wellness in design. We have people like Deepak Chopra who are playing a part in the design aspects of it because they're the wellness challenge. For the environment, for the protection of history with the ecological center, the cultural preservation. Of course, there will be social and economic value. It is going to be a business at the end of the day. but it will be a business which is worthwhile for Belize.
Rovalo added that the tipping point for natural restoration to keep the island together has long gone, but the coastline can be saved with human restoration. A woman is dead and 2 others injured as a result of a road traffic accident that occurred on Wednesday in Orange Walk Town. According to police, sometime after 4 o'clock yesterday evening, 55-year-old Elba Concepcion Gongora was driving a 4-door Kia Sportage from August Pine Ridge to San Felipe Village when she lost control of the vehicle and overturned. Gongora suffered head injuries and died on the scene. Traveling with her at that time were 47-year-old Luis Briceño Sr. and 36-year-old Amalia Cocom. Briceño suffered a fractured right foot, while Cocom received abrasions to the right leg, foot, and complained of pain to the right side of her body. The vehicle was extensively damaged. A Costa Rican company is looking for investment in Belize. This morning, Procommer Costa Rica Exports, along with the Embassy of Costa Rica, held a breakfast at the Radisson Fort George Hotel and Marina to discuss investment opportunities for Costa Rica in Belize. Director of Trade Promotion Office Itzam Huilet spoke with Love News about their interests in Belize.
Our main objective was 3 main objectives. First was to meet with a few of the companies that may be interested in doing business in Costa Rica, importers, distributors. So since I came from the airport, the ambassador at Costa Rica has taken me to different companies to be able to get to know them, get to know your country. We also look at the huge quantity of tourism that happens here. I believe it's about 1 million or 1.5 million tourists per year that you receive in Belize. So that market, we're also interested. There's a lot of companies in Costa Rica that service the food service per se. I mean, restaurants, hotels, and so all those companies do need food in different type of packaging and in kilo bags and stuff like that. So there are companies in Costa Rica that I believe will have some opportunity here in Belize. I believe what you also have relations with the CARICOM and Commonwealth. And so there's a lot of people or businessmen that may want to have some product entering into Belize and re-exporting it to other CARICOM countries. So that may be of our interest also.
Now, there may be some skepticism about what Belize has to gain by opening up the economy to the Latin American and Caribbean regions. Hewlett says investment benefits the whole region.
We understand that if we want the Belize market to open, to have open arms, let's put it that way, for our products, we have to open our market too. So we are open, and we can even though our organization is created by law to promote Costa Rican products, we understand the need to also have opportunities for exporters from those countries, in this case Belize, to export to Costa Rica. So we would get involved and we will organize or facilitate the organization of an agenda in Costa Rica. For example, we have set up alliances with the Chamber of Commerce in Costa Rica. There's also CRESEX, which is a representation of foreign companies, which has a lot of the importers database in Costa Rica. So we would work with them so that the Belize company would go down to Costa Rica and be successful and introduce their products in Costa Rica. We have always had a policy of open trade in Costa Rica, and we want to maintain that.
Essentials Costa Rica and the Embassy of Costa Rica are committed to helping Belizean companies with interest in Costa Rica as an exchange to invest in the Belizean market. As part of the CSME and other regional trade agreements, Belize has been doing business with companies from the Caribbean and Latin America. Itzam Hewlett, Director of Trade Promotion Office for Procommer Exports, advises on how Belizean companies can become more competitive.
One way to be competitive is trying to buy the raw material from the right people and the right countries. Buying from Central America in the region is very important. For example, Costa Rica, that's why we're here. If we're able to give raw material in a competitive price, it will help the industry here, for example. And it could be that Honduras, Guatemala, or El Salvador has better pricing that we do. I mean, by all means, buy the raw material so you can have the costs be reduced. Logistically, it's going to be a lot easier also. The transportation costs a lot lower than bringing in from Europe or Asia, right? And so trade, import-export has to be done, and we believe the region has to grow to be able to be more competitive in the world.
Hewlett also observed that trade with Europe might not be the best for Latin American companies.
That's why there's big advantages to strengthen regionally, because a lot of the ideas of having free trade with Europe and Asia, it is good because we do have to have our products like Belize or Costa Rica in the U.S., which is a major buyer in the world, or in Europe, which is an emerging region, very strong. It's good, but regionally, it has to be. We cannot forget about our neighbors. It's very important.
This is the first.
The Costa Rican embassy is hoping that Belizean companies will take advantage of the opportunity to do business in Costa Rica, as they are hoping to do with Belize. While the staff of the Port of Belize has successfully negotiated a collective bargaining agreement, CBA, that gives them a 12% salary increase for the next 4 years, the stevedores, who were discontented with their conditions and went on strike last year, still remain at a standstill. President of the Christian Workers Union, Audrey Matura Shepherd, comments on the factors affecting the negotiations, emphasizing that the strike worked against the workers.
Honestly, I don't know what will really happen with Port of Belize Limited, because let us do the comparison. The reason we were able to negotiate a CBA here in record time of 5 weeks is because when we sent our CBA to them, they literally reviewed it and looked at the things they could agree on and the things that we couldn't agree on, and we had to negotiate. When we sent our CBA to Port of Belize in 2015, in March of 2015, and we started negotiations sometime in about August. It spiraled out of control. Not all part of the management, but some of the things played perfectly into the hands of management. Part of it because of some of our own workers and the things they do, the wild strikes and protests they want to have. Some of them that we make agreements with management and they don't want to honor it, even though it's sensible things. It's like, it's a unit where they just feel that they should do everything, anything when they want. And so sometimes you can't sit down, and that works in favor of management, because right now management basically does what they want with them and there's no CBA to control and regulate.
Matura said the regulation passed classifying a stevedore as an essential service makes the need for a CBA necessary for the workers.
If you notice, every other essential service, the reason you can afford to be an essential service is because you have a CBA and you have all these other benefits. Stevedores are not even full-time workers, but now they are made essential service. They will never have the benefits that all these other essential services have. When you look at different departments that are from government, when you look like things like port, when you look at the airport, when you look at BEL, BTL, WASA, the utilities, they have CBAs and they have very good benefits. Even Social Security Board, stevedores will never have that. They're not even respected as employees, but they many times, and not all of them, because it's not fair that a lot of them, so there's that vocal handful that are just mischief makers and they just play into the hand of management. So that will always be a challenging unit. We always knew that it was a challenging one before we took over. Our tenure could end and it will still be challenging.
Long after the stevedores have gone back to work, the negotiations that were started last year are still at a standstill. A man was murdered this afternoon in the Corozal district. The body of the 37-year-old Delmar Guerra was found inside his vehicle in Paraiso village. Guerra had 4 shots to his body. While police are still investigating, Superintendent Dennis Arnold of the Corozal Police Formation shared their preliminary findings.
2:30 p.m., police was called out to Paraiso village, where upon arrival, saw a white van. The back appears to be police. Police investigation revealed that while Del Marguera, 37 years, was driving the said van, 2 persons dressed in dark clothing on a motorcycle drove up beside the van. There are several shots at the van, which caught Guerra, 2 to the left abdomen and 2 to the left hand. Guerra was pronounced dead on arrival at the Corozal Community Hospital. Nobody detained at this time. We are canvassing the area to see what information we can gather. I was posted here along the 1st of July last year. He was only here on domestic problem.
Guerra, who was a money changer at the Corozal border, was once shot at Calderitas in Mexico. He was shot to the mouth and the bullet exited from the left side of his neck. As a result of cooperation from the Guatemalan law enforcement authorities, Benqueviejo police were able to nab one of 2 men they believe were involved in an armed robbery yesterday in that western municipality. According to the report made by 21-year-old Esdras Chanek, a taxi driver of Benque, he was on duty in a green Toyota Corolla just after 2 o'clock in the afternoon when he was contracted by 2 men who he picked up from the George Price Boulevard to take them to Bullet Tree Village. En route to San Ignacio town, the taxi driver acquired 2 more jobs, including one from his friend Richard Ponce. With 4 men now in the taxi, the 2 men who were first picked up and asked to be taken to a ranch in Bullet Tree Village, and when they got about 15 minutes through the Cala Creek Road, the men then demanded that the driver stopped or he would be killed. Subsequently, the driver and the other passengers were robbed of their cell phones, personal belongings, and cash. The men were left in the area as the 2 robbers escaped in the taxi. The suspects were described as being Guatemalans between the ages of 19 and 25. Quick collaboration with the Guatemalan National Police led to the recovery of the car and the detention of one of the men. San Ignacio police are investigating a traffic incident that occurred yesterday at around 4:30 on the George Price Highway in front of Roomers. When investigators got to the scene, they found a gold Saturn sedan in a ditch and a green GMC pickup truck extensively damaged, about 30 feet away on the other side of the road. Preliminary investigations indicate that 29-year-old immigration officer William Sanchez, attached to the western border, was driving behind the GMC pickup when he observed a sudden stop made by the pickup driver. In an effort to avoid hitting the pickup, Sanchez swerved to the left but still ended up hitting the truck and landing in a ditch. Sanchez was accompanied by his girlfriend, 20-year-old Merlin de la Fuente, who complained of pain to the right leg, the right arm, and to the chest. Meanwhile, Sanchez was cut to the center of the head and has complained of pain to the chest, the right hand, and the left knee. During this incident, there was a third party involved, an 18-year-old Juan Garcia, who was standing on the side of the road waiting for the public transportation when he was hit by Sanchez's car. He received injuries to the left shoulder and cuts to the soles of his feet, while the driver of the GMC pickup truck, 48-year-old Orlando Tut, received injuries to his left hand, right foot, left shoulder, and his neck and back. His common-law wife, Ann Taibo, was injured in the left foot and had pain in the side of her head. Medical forms were issued, urine samples were taken. Garcia was taken to the Carl Houston Memorial Hospital, while a notice of intended prosecution was issued to Sanchez. A road traffic accident earlier today left several persons injured. Correspondent Fem Cruz has the story.
3 adults and a child is hospitalized at the Western Regional Hospital following an early morning traffic accident at the entrance of the Iguana Creek Bridge on the Spanish Lookout Road. According to 22-year-old Noe Marroquin, on Thursday morning, May 26, sometime around 7 o'clock, he was driving his red Freightliner truck loaded with 600 sacks of cement from Corozal town en route to Spanish Lookout. Traveling along with him were 3 passengers. Marroquin said upon approaching the Iguana Creek Bridge, he saw 2 vehicles coming from the opposite direction. The vehicle at the back suddenly overtake the other vehicle that was in front of him and to avoid an head-on collision with the vehicle that went in his lane, he took an extreme right which caused him to lose control of the trailer truck and overturn. As a result, the driver, 22-year-old Nawe Marroquin, received a broken right hand and left foot, while his passengers, Judith Marroquin, his sister, complained of pain to her hip and body, Alex Medina, his sideman, and 5-year-old Jordani Catch complained of pain to their entire body. All 4 persons from Corozal Town were admitted to ward in a stable condition. This is Brother Fem Cruz reporting from the nation's capital city, Belmopan, for Love FM.
26 traffic signs were installed at key locations on Main Street in Punta Gorda. Correspondent Paul Mahang reports.
The traffic signs project was undertaken by Punta Gorda Town Council, as explained by Mayor Fon Gutierrez.
The Punta Gorda Town Council takes the opportunity to inform the general public, specifically residents of Punta Gorda Town, that signs are being installed. These signs are the property of the municipality, and so we ask both the pedestrian and the motorist to respect the signs. Let's abide by our traffic rules, as well as the general public to take ownership of what is being placed in the municipality. At the end of the day, we're asking those persons to avoid taking down the stop signs and to basically be our watchdogs as it relates to the municipality. I would also like to take this opportunity to highlight the work of the traffic committee spearheaded by Mr. Ivan Aveles and his commitment to continuously work with the Punta Gorda Town Council to better improve traffic safety within the municipality. Mr. Aveles continues to share both his knowledge and his talent, as well as the continuous donation. Today, the erection of the sign is possible by his contribution of 26 signs to the municipality, and so on behalf of the residents and the council, thanks for your continuous support. I want to encourage others out there that this town council continues to be a council that is willing and able to work with our residents. Let's join hands together and continue to improve Punta Gorda Town.
Love News caught up with Punta Gorda Town Council traffic officers who, along with Municipal Traffic Manager Ignacio Cho, were erecting the signs.
The Punta Gorda Town Council Traffic Department has erected 10 stop signs, 6 do not enter and 10 one-way signs at different locations in Punta Gorda. These signs are to help and protect the safety of all members of the public in town and those who come in to town from Toledo rural villages and other districts of Belize and visitors from abroad. All motorists are asked to adhere to all traffic signs in Punta Gorda. The mayor and members of the PG Town Council are grateful to Mr. Ivan Aviles, who donated the traffic signs.
Ignacio commented that the newly erected traffic signs will only be effective with cooperation and compliance of all motorists. Reporting for Love News, Paul Mahone, Punta Gorda.
Belize is preparing to host the upcoming Costa Games in early July. There will be an influx of over 1,000 visitors from 6 different Central American countries, as the executive director of the National Sports Council, Richelle Dominguez, told Love News.
We should have seven countries coming in. We'll have 6 because Guatemala has decided that they won't participate in Costa. That's one, and we're looking forward for the other countries to come in and have fun in Belize. One, it's not really a competition sort of, but it's more participation. So what happened in the age groups that we're looking at is from 6 to 12 years old kids. They're coming in, they will be playing. If you look at Ernjoak, volleyball will be played in Ernjoak. Belize City will host table tennis. We look at playing football in Belmopan and using that new field that Isidore beaten. We're gonna have them use that for the games, no? And in San Ignacio we do basketball. What happened? We have in the next week we should have all countries participating. They'll send a representative where we'll do a tour with them, what you call a technical meeting with them, looking at our facilities, looking at the hotels that we have, and looking at the way we're structured to get this competition up and running.
The National Sports Council has been busy confirming the logistics and developing a sound plan for the Costa itinerary, including tours of the country.
Is these countries coming in and enjoying what is Belize? It's not only participating in sports, but enjoying what Belize is all about. Because what we'll do sports, and we'll also do tours where they can visit all our facilities, or we will take them to ruins, we'll take them to Lamanai, we'll take them to San Antonich, so they'll get to know Belize. And it's also, I believe it also helps the tourism industry, because these kids will go back to their country and some of their parents will be here. And I believe that is where they're going to go back and carry the message that Belize is a beautiful place, which it is, no?
Dominguez went on to explain that with Belize hosting all these athletes, we are looking at a budget of about $800,000. The visitors will not only be focusing on the various disciplines being planned, but they will also be taken on tours.
It should be up to 1,000, almost 1,500, 1,008, somewhere thereabout. It will be a lot of people. It's a lot of work being put into it, and our most ministry has jumped on board. We have customs, we have police, we have, like I said, we've been working behind the scenes. Each department is doing their part to facilitate them in getting a safe and easy flow into Belize. We're hosting. It's about 800,000. At this time, after we are looking to partner with businesses, government has thrown in their part of it, and we'll have to raise the rest to get Costa up and running. But it isn't hard, because it's 800,000. That's the total amount. But looking at it isn't hard. It's just getting people involved and getting them aware of what we're doing. I know when it comes to financing, we're far away from our budget, but we'll work at it and we'll see where we go with it, and we should have everything in place. Because what happened, being we're hosting, we'll take care of hotels, we'll take care of transportation. They'll just come in, enjoy the participation and leave. So Belize will be, I hope Belizeans are ready to give us a hand to get Costa in Belize. Well, looking at the whole structure the way it was, is that because of pricing, Belize is very pricey in hotel. So looking at it, we had structured it whereby we try to do a game in each district that we can utilize the hotels in that area. We don't want to pack them down in one district and then we don't have the hotels and we don't have the facilities to host them. So we have decided to put it in each district, and we put it in specific districts that we believe has some way of letting them enjoy something pertaining to tourism.
There will be competitions in volleyball, basketball, football, and table tennis. The games take place from July 6th through to the 12th. Earlier this week, we told you of the establishment of the People's Stadium in Orange Walk Town being the brainchild of the late Honorable Eligio Joe Briceño, father to the leader of the opposition. Currently, the National Sports Council is in the process of giving the arena a facelift. Richel Dominguez spoke more on this initiative with Love News.
People's Stadium is the home of the minister, I'll say one, and he has tasked me with getting several things done. One is upgrading it to where it's really good enough for the people to run the harsh track. We have just upgraded it. We have been doing work on People's Stadium where we're looking at upgrading, we're looking at building the fence. There are several things he has tasked me with in doing. We are moving step by step in getting the People's Stadium to the best it is, the best it can be, because again, the minister is from Orange Walk, so that's our biggest task, to get it up to a good enough level. Because as we know, from it was built, the fence has never been changed. That's the stadium that got the least taken care of. So we'll have to look at it and see how we move forward with it. But there's a lot to be done. There's a lot to be admired in getting People's Stadium up and running.
The People's Stadium is a multi-purpose stadium in Orange Walk Town with a capacity of 4,500. Today, members of the media were invited to an out-of-the-box press brief hosted by Caribbean Motors, a subsidiary of Caribbean Tires. It was a media access event only as the company prepares to launch a new line of motor vehicles. Emil Torres is the company's marketing director who spoke more on the upcoming launch.
Today we're actually launching our new luxury line of SUVs. It's called the Havals. Havals is the luxury line of the Great Walls. Like, you know, every brand in the world has their luxury lines. Well, this is our actual luxury line. The thing is, there's about 7 or 8 different models right now available in the Havals, but we're showcasing 3 of them in particular, 3 different sizes, from a smaller version that compares to some of the most popular brands like the Sportage and the RAV and the Qashqai, all the way up to the bigger version that is actually compared to the Toyota Land Cruiser Prado. And one of the biggest factors about us is always the price. Everybody knows Caribbean Motors. We pride ourselves in always having the lowest possible markup. But of course, it's always a mentality where the lower my price is, the lesser quality I get, you know. So we tend to always try to give you as much as we can possibly give you at the least that we can possibly charge you.
Members of the media got the opportunity to learn more about this new line of vehicles and even got to test drive, or in some instances, test ride the high-end line of SUVs. Torres explained what the objective was for the media to be exclusively invited to this event.
We actually decided today to have a media day. The reason why you don't see all the vehicles in the background, the reason why we're not trying to obviously sell it to you today on the news is because we're having our official launching tomorrow. Next week we'll be having our launching and opening our doors to the general public, both in Spanish Lookout and in Belize City at Caribbean Motors, for them to come in and view these things. So on your next newscast, I guess tomorrow, wait for it, people, look out for it. You're going to see the entire line of vehicles. You're going to see the high quality of those vehicles. And again, the reason why we didn't summons, we asked the media to come out today was simply to get the media's perspective on it. Everybody knows Emil, everybody knows he's a salesman, and you know, everybody want to hear the salesman to talk about how good these vehicles are. It's like they say, the fisherman will never say fish stink. So I'm not here to tell you that I have the best vehicle in the world. I am here to tell you that value for a dollar, these are the highest quality, all first world European specification that you can possibly get in Belize right now. Fully authorized dealers we are, and we're here to support our vehicles, full after sales support, everything. And that's why the media is here today, for them to simply get a taste of it. Everybody got the opportunity to drive it and to then put it into their own perspective. It's about them doing their little reviews and doing their little takes and feedbacks and putting it up on their social media and news and whatever. It's all about the media's individual perspective. And why we invited all the medias is because we have something for everybody. And you know that you drove one. What you like, the other person might not like. The colors of one, the other person might not like. We have a wide variety of SUVs that fits everybody's budgets. So I don't want to let the puss out of the bag. I will tell you one thing, we're about 40% more affordable than any of the competition right now.
The official launch takes place tomorrow evening at the Biltmore Plaza Hotel. The Bar Association of Belize held a seminar on linkages between mental disorder and criminal cases. It was hosted by the Death Penalty Project. Barrister Joe Middleton and Pravis Jabbar, co-executive director of the project, commented on the seminar.
It's a training or sensitization program regarding mental health and mental disorder and the law. So the connection between mental illness and law, and particularly in the criminal context, so that there's a better understanding of how mental health can affect people who are in criminal trials, so that people can better identify those issues and better understand how mental health affects criminal responsibility.
What we're looking at here is the mental health of a defendant who may be facing a trial. It's a very, very important issue because it goes to the very, very heart of the trial process. So within the trial, the judge, the prosecutor, the defense lawyer may need to consider issues that would be relevant to both the conviction and the ultimate sentence in those cases.
A percentage of prisoners in the central prison of Belize are housed there awaiting arraignment. Some will wait their turn at the court for years. Pravis Jabbar commented on how the delay can affect the mental health of the persons awaiting trial.
Delay within the criminal justice system is such a critical issue. It's something that you find in many jurisdictions. It's not only relevant to Belize, it's relevant throughout the Commonwealth Caribbean, it's relevant within the UK and other parts of the world. And essentially, it is very important that if somebody is arrested, that they are brought before a judge as soon as possible. You have to look at their psychological torture. Each individual is different. You have to look about the conditions of confinement. So many people could be held in very poor prison conditions. Obviously, whilst they're awaiting either a trial, they're awaiting sentence, it has a psychological stress not only to the defendant, but to the defendant's family and also to the victims, because obviously ultimately justice needs to take place, and for all those people involved, delay becomes a critical issue.
The Mental Disorder and the Loss seminar ends tomorrow. UNICEF has provided assistance to a primary school in the Stan Creek district. We hear more in this report from correspondent Harry Arzu.
Sacred Heart Primary School here in Dangriga has a student population of over 500 who also use the school's bathroom facility. It is said that learning should take place in a conducive environment, but the bathroom facility at Sacred Heart Primary School here was in dire need of some urgent repairs for some time. Well, today an official ceremony to mark the opening of the refurbished facility was held at the school's compound, where students, parents, teachers, and UNICEF representatives attended. Love News was there and spoke with Rosalind Lindsay, who works at the school, and Ivan Yorovi, UNICEF representative.
The difficulty that we were facing with the bathroom was the flushing. With that, we got the assistance from UNICEF. They came in and they rectified that by building us that soakaway there, so we no longer have that problem. During the renovation, we were faced with a lot of challenges, and nicely, the contractor worked along with us here at the school.
UNICEF has been supporting the Ministry of Education in several schools. The idea for UNICEF is to provide some, financial support for refurbishing or building new bathrooms. In the case of this school, we refurbished the bathrooms that were already in place. And now we can say that the number of bathroom facilities have improved substantially, because as far as I understand, there were only 4 for almost 500 kids, because there are 575 children in this school. Now we are talking about of almost 20 bathroom facilities for children. So that's what UNICEF has done so far.
And what is the cost of this refurbishment?
We are talking about probably between 20 to 30,000 US dollars for improving these facilities, and we are doing it currently. We are supporting 3 other schools.
Namely?
Don't remember the names of it, but we are supporting 3. We did support schools in Kikoker, San Pedro, Belize City Southside as well, and we are about to open to do the opening ceremony in the schools in Belize City Southside as well. Yeah.
Reporting for Love News from Dangriga, I'm Harry Arzu.
Earlier today, the Punta Gorda Community Policing Unit handed over its monthly donation to a needy family. WPC Aretha Gordon of the Community Policing Unit told Love News the initiative is possible with the support of the local business community.
On behalf of the Community Policing Unit Punta Gorda Formation, I would like to present this food hamper basket for the month of May 2016 to Mrs. Poliana Ash. She is the breadwinner of her family, whose husband suffered a stroke recently and is unable to care for his family financially. We recognize those that are less fortunate and strive to assist when possible to show our gratitude and appreciation in giving back to our community. Also, I would like to say a big thank you to Mr. Brian Lambe of Boneville Cafe, who assisted us and made this a worthy cause.
The recipient of today's donation, Juliana Ash, expressed her gratitude for the contribution.
I just want to say thanks for the Punta Gorda police that they are giving me this food hamper. I appreciate it, and I want to say thank you very much for everybody who are supporting this food hamper. This is all I have to because of the condition of my husband. That's why I'm getting this help from the police officer.
Every month, the PG Community Policing Unit identifies a family in need. On the last Thursday of the month, they hand over a hamper. Our thought conditioner for today comes from C. Joybell C. It reads, quote, "We can't be afraid of change. You may feel very secure in the pond that you are in, but if you never venture out of it, you will never know that there is such a thing as an ocean, a sea. Holding on to something that is good for you now may be the very reason why you don't have something better." End of quote. This has been the evening news on Love Television, and we invite you to log on to our website at www.lovefm.com for transcripts of our news stories. Thanks for watching. Have a safe and enjoyable evening. With your evening news, I am Taryn Butcher.